Trump says Israel agrees to conditions of 60-day ceasefire as proposal heads to Hamas. President Trump revealed on Tuesday that Israel has agreed to the conditions of the 60-day ceasefire with Hamas. My representative has, is this the one, Rob, if you have, okay, my representative had a long and productive meeting with Israelis today on Gaza. Israel has agreed to the 60 days and the conditions during which time we will work with all parties to end the war. The Qataris and the Egyptians, who have worked very hard to help bring peace, will deliver this final proposal. I hope for the good of the Middle East that Hamas takes this deal because it will not get better. It will only get worse. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Adam, your thoughts on this?
Well, Trump's trying to run the table and work out all these deals that he's been working on. It first started with India and Pakistan a couple of weeks ago. We see that the ceasefire between Iran and Israel is holding, and now he's moving on to Gaza, and then hopefully he can run the table on Russia and Ukraine. But Trump is a deal maker, and he's trying to cut a deal. So what's happening here, in my opinion, there's a proposal, there's conditions, and what's the title of the article? That Israel has agreed to the conditions, is it not? So Israel has agreed. Now, Israel, in my opinion, they have two stipulations. Number one, can we get our hostages back? You know, those people that you just kind of like ran up on and stole and hijacked and killed a lot of people, you know, that whole thing. And then number two, this is kind of important. Yeah, stop terrorizing us. We'd like that. We'd like to just live in peace and prosperity and not have missiles from Houthis and Hezbollah and Hamas and Islamic Jihad and all the terror crew out there just terrorizing people because, you know, that's what terrorists do. They terrorize. Meanwhile, we're literally negotiating with terrorists. And, you know, the whole phrase about not negotiating with terrorists. And then Hamas comes back. And what did Trump say? That they basically gave an unacceptable counteroffer. So the story kind of goes like, all right, yeah, we'll give you the hostages back. Some are going to be dead. Sorry about that. But the second part, the whole like stopping jihad, yeah, we can't do that. Like Diddy, we can't stop, won't stop. That's just kind of what we do. It's kind of in our charter that you can't live. So in my opinion, this is one big poker game. And, you know, you talked about the word tilt the other day, Pat. Yep. You know, when you're throwing good money after bad money, oh my God, I'm on tilt. Well, in poker or in cards, it's all about who has the leverage. Now, Hamas, using a Trump quote, Hamas don't got the cards, right, Zelensky? So meanwhile, Israel has a full house. They got 3 kings, 2 queens. They just eliminated all the terror proxies surrounding them. With the help of America, eliminated Iran's nuclear capabilities. And Hamas, who's basically holding a pair of twos and maybe an ace up their sleeve, which whatever that is, which doesn't exist, they're like, yeah, we're going to negotiate here. If this were a real negotiation, like an actual business negotiation, Israel would just run over Gaza and Hamas and just say, better luck next time. But they're trying to sort of play the geopolitical nice guy without wiping out this entire community.
Tom,
we'll see what happens.
How do you sit there and say, second request is dismantling Hamas? How do you? What does it mean to dismantle Hamas? What does that ask mean? How does a Hamas organization get dismantled?
So I think that there's really only one angle I can think of, and it's cutting off all of their money and supply. But the money and supply has always flown black market for these guys. I mean, Adam said it very well. Their charter is, you shall not live. How do you dismantle that charter when that is at the core of their belief in existence? And if you cut off their arms supply and you cut off their dark dollars that are coming through Iran and others, then okay, you still have a group of people who believe in their heart in the charter, even if you tear up the charter as a piece of paper. So dismantling Hamas, I think, really means disrupting and disorganizing where they have their bases, Rob, and where they're getting their money.
To see maybe definitions.
I think that's probably the angle, because unless you go out and systematically figure out how to kill each and every Hamas and then wait for their 13-year-old sons to grow up and get worse, right, which is what happened with Al-Qaeda, I don't know how you dismantle it. I only know how you dismantle, you disrupt the hell out of it.
Disarm.
For now.
It says, number one, disarm, give up all weapons, including rockets, guns, and other military capabilities. You think Hamas is going to do that? No. Number two, disband its military wing dissolve the Din al-Qassam bridges, the armed wing of Hamas.
Yeah, and their money.
Yeah. Number 3, relinquish political and administrative control, step down from governing Gaza, potentially handing over control to other authority like the Palestinian Authority or international body. 4, end all hostility, cease planning, supporting, or carrying out attacks against Israel permanently. And 5, accept Israel's right to exist. A broader long-term, I mean, they're not going to do that. So, Vinny, what do you think about this ceasefire?
I don't know. 'Cause I know Adam mentioned something about, because, Israel could just go over and get rid of everybody if they wanted to. I saw a video, Pat. I'm hearing that, Rob. I saw a video of just what Rafah looks like in Gaza, on the Gaza Strip. And this is a five-month-old video. This is 5 months ago. I mean, I understand they were going after Hamas and they were hiding in buildings and stuff, but this looks like Hamas was literally everywhere. There's going to be another shot of overhead. My question is, like, where is Hamas? This is Gaza. This is Rafah. This is one section of Gaza where it's decimated. I understand they're talking about a ceasefire, but where's Hamas here?
They're what's known as living in the tunnels.
Well,
And
guess what?
Instead of taking the billions of dollars that the UN and all the
But Adam, looking at this, looking at this video, Adam, this is wiping out the entire city. And Israel, I think, is technologically advanced. They could go in those tunnels, put your boots on the ground, and go get these guys and go get them. Because that ceasefire, again, Pat, you're right. You're negotiating with terrorists. America doesn't negotiate with terrorists. So if Israel's going to do that, go finish it. Well, get on the ground and go get them, because they're not. I'm with Pat. You think you're going to negotiate with Hamas, with terrorists? No, because that's what.
I agree. All you can do is disrupt them. And even if you disrupt their money, disrupt their arms, disrupt them, you're disrupting them, for now, because all their children are sitting there with the same charter and the same belief on their heart, waiting to grow up and take up the family business, which is eliminate Israel.
Well, PBD asked a very important question, like, how do you actually do this? And Tom sort of touched the surface of what you do, and you take away their funding. And you mentioned Iran. Iran is definitely funding them, especially in the military wings. But it's no secret that the biggest disruptor and the biggest funder of terrorism isn't necessarily Iran, it's Qatar. So if you look at the title of this article, what 2 countries are negotiating with Israel and the United States? It's Egypt and, drumroll, Qatar. So Egypt, in my opinion, a lot of the Arab states don't care about the Palestinians. I'm sorry. There's more people in the West, the Greta Thunbergs of the world, the woke mobs of the world, even the Candaces of the world, that care way more about what's going on in Gaza than the actual neighbors. Because have you ever seen the fence in between Egypt and Gaza? It's worse than the one in Israel. Egypt don't want these people. Jordan doesn't want these people. Lebanon is taking in 0 people. Why is that? But why is Qatar involved? Qatar's nowhere near them. It's because Qatar is basically Hamas's daddy. Where did they find Ismail Haniyeh? There's the fence in Egypt. That's a sign that they don't want you coming through here to Egypt. And we saw what happened when basically the woke left showed up to Egypt and tried to get into Gaza. They were turned around not politely. But Hamas, being funded by their daddy, Qatar is a very interesting country because they present this sort of lipstick on a pig, neutral ambassador. We're going to work this out. Meanwhile, they're the ones funding the Muslim Brotherhood. When the U.S. had to negotiate with the Taliban, where did they meet? In Doha, Qatar. Qatar is the daddy. And don't take my word for it. Take their neighbors. Saudi, UAE, and Egypt itself has all accused Qatar of funding terrorism. So the person negotiating, the middleman, is actually the person that's funding everything. It's a very weird situation here. And Israel, in my opinion, they're doing 2 things. Peace through strength. They're not messing around anymore. They've eliminated all their enemies. And number 2, they're basically saying total domination within that sector. And we're going to see what happens, what Trump does here with Gaza. But in my opinion, Israel should just take the whole thing over.
Yeah, if I look at a comparison to ISIS, right? Remember, every day was ISIS. Mm-hmm. And then when they took out Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, died like a dog, right? That whole thing that happened.
Beautiful dog.
And then it gradually disappeared. But they went right after the head leader. Now, they're still around in a couple different pockets. They're not as big as they used to be. But I just don't know what it means. yeah, as long as you get rid of Hamas, this is what. No, I don't see that. I
Well,
don't
how
know
do you
what's-
kill an ideology, right? I guess that's the question.
Yeah, but why? What do you mean? Then to me, then it goes to Israel is asking something that's impossible. That
Well-
you're making those two conditions. I'm sorry. If I'm Trump, I'm like, no, we can't deliver on that. Why? Because they're true believers, fanatical. They're never going to stop. So what do you mean one of the conditions is getting rid of Hamas? That's not possible. They're not going away. They can't stand you. You want them to suddenly stop? And I don't mean it from a standpoint of, I don't mean it from a standpoint of, leverage or any of that stuff. I think this is a dumb deal. I think it is. Because you want a ceasefire and one of the two conditions is this? Who's going to listen? You think they're going to listen? Are we supposed to be this naive? I'm sorry. I'm really trying to buy in. I have a hard time. I've been around these guys in the Middle East when they're fanatical.
Yep.
You can't reason with them. You can't say, let's have a reasonable conversation. We're willing to do this as long as you guys stop talking about that Israel doesn't have the right to exist. We will. No, go read their charter.
Yeah.
So why is that one of your two requests? No, it's almost as if Israel is asking for something, knowing that can't get done. So if you're asking for that, knowing it can't get done, what do you want to be done? What do you really want to get done?
It's interesting,
when
Pat.
their whole
You talk a lot
motivation
about
is-
negotiation, and you're one of the most astute negotiators that I've ever seen in multiple things. And when you ask for something that you know the other side won't give you, it gives you the excuse to keep fighting.
Yeah, no, that's
Great point.
I'm not with this approach, and I'm not, because I would sit there and I would say, let's just say I'm in the room and you're asking me for that kind of a request. I'm gonna be like, no, they're not going to do it.
Then I'm not going to stop fighting if you can't agree to
so
something.
then why don't you just say that?
This is why
publicly?
this thing will not stop.
Yeah, but
Pat,
it's
one-
both sides though. It's not a, to me, if you just want to go do what you want to do, stop making it seem like you're forced. Just go do it already. Just go do what you want to do already. Don't tell me I have to get rid of Hamas and put the onus on me that you're agreeing to a ceasefire. That's an impossibility. It's not going to happen.
Unrealistic.
Yeah, everyone's shouting ceasefire now, forgets that there's two terms of the negotiation. They just stop the ceasefire. Well, they're still shooting rockets.
Yeah.
They still have our hostages. How do you stop this? A major point, it's so funny, like if you don't learn from history, you're destined to repeat it. Golda Meir, who was the first female prime minister of Israel, she said the following: there will be peace when the terrorists, the Palestinians, what have you, love their children more than they hate Israel. If you love your children more than you hate Israel, then you'll want your children to live and grow and not have them in indoctrination jihad camps. How many times have you seen videos of 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds wearing terrorist outfits
but
with
Adam,
guns?
that's not
This whole
changing.
society has been indoctrinated.
That's not
How do you
changing.
get around that?
You're not going to. There's 1.5 billion of them around the world, of which take a tenth are fanatical, and a tenth of those are extremely fanatical, which is 1% of them. That's a big number. And
I hear you.
Let's just actually do
400
this.
million.
What's 1/10 of $1.5 billion? 150 million. Now let's just say they support some of these things, but they're not fully fanatical. What's 1% of 100? What's 1% of 1.5 billion? What's 1% of 1.5 billion? 15 million. What's 0.1%? 1.5 million. What's 0.01%? 150,000. What's 0.001%? 15,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's 15,000 too many. That's 15,000 too many. So this
They
is,
said the same thing. They said the same thing about Egypt. They had a peace deal with Egypt. They said the same thing about the Jordanians. They had a peace deal with Jordan. Now they have the Abraham Accords. They've done deals all around the Middle East. This is why Bibi, and quite frankly, is more focused on the new version of the Abraham Accords and getting
This
peace
is
with actual
bullshit
major players in Saudi
negotiation.
than
this is BS negotiation.
Hamas.
This is BS negotiation.
What would you do?
I'm going to give you. My number one step
Okay.
is Iran. My number one step is not Hamas. Where's the money coming from? Who is funding them? Who's backing them up?
Qatar and Iran, yes.
Okay, so then go to the source.
Yeah.
Go to the source. This is step number 8. Like you go and play domino, there's 10 dominoes. When you want to have the tipping, you hit the first domino.
Yeah.
Why are we going and hitting number 8 domino? The first one's the problem. Get to the first one, not to the 8th one. I don't understand this methodology of negotiation. To me, this is theatrics. To me, this is all like, hey, we're open to it. No, you're not. No, you're not open to it. This is pure for theater and TV and for
You're saying Hamas is not open to it?
No, I think both of them. Stop acting like you were pursuing a peace deal. You're giving something that 90% of naive people will fall for and say, wow, look, they really want to do this. No, number one is Iran. Number one is not Hamas. It goes to that. Now, I know the people that can't stand Israel, those who hate Israel, whatever you want to call them, the woke right, any of that stuff, they're going to say, no, number one is Israel. But the reality is, pre-79, it was cool. It was chill. What happened after that? The fanaticals showed up. The extremists showed up. I'm going to go to the next story because this just drives me insane, just reading this even more and more. It's purely showmanship, and it's not something I support. Once a year, we host an event called the Vol Conference. If you're somebody that either runs a business, you're a married couple, husband and wife, life's been kind of flatlining lately. There's not been too much things that are growing in ways, business, personal, financial, and you kind of want to call a time out and get away and spend 4 days with 3,000 other couples and nearly 12,000 people in the same room together to strategize the future of your life with your kids, being intentional about it. I highly, highly recommend you attend the Vol Conference. It's the only conference you can go to where the attendees are comfortable talking about business, are comfortable talking about money, are comfortable talking about politics, are comfortable talking about family values, and no one cares. No one walks on eggshells. You go to some business conferences, oh, we can't talk about politics. We talk about everything. If that's appealing to you, do whatever you can to go to the Vol Conference. Here's a video I did with my patient. Here's a doctor sitting down as a therapist, sitting down with his patient, and guess who his patient is? Rob, go ahead and play the clip.
Matthew, who's my next patient? Oh, this one's gonna be tough. Oh, I gotta take the jacket off for this one. Okay, so what's been happening lately?
Oh, nothing positive. I'll tell you that, Doc. Just, work is crazy. My marriage is hanging on by a thread. I know we talked about that last time I was here. The kids are freaking screaming and yelling all the time. The business is bleeding cash. I can't breathe. So what do I do?
Let me ask you a question. When's the last time you and your wife sat down and actually mapped out your next 5, 10, 15 moves, personal life and your business life?
Never. The only thing we've ever mapped out was our Disneyland trip, just like which rides to go.
That's one day, though. But I'm talking like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. You guys have never done that?
Never.
Do you guys read books together? Do you spend a lot of time reading lately or no?
Oh, I don't know about her, but the last thing I read was the back of a shampoo bottle while I was in the
it's not
bathroom. I know, but you should see the stuff that's in there.
It's actually really interesting stuff, but I'm talking like life and business.
No.
Nothing?
Nope.
Okay.
We don't have time.
Does this sound familiar to you? Do you listen to anything he said and say, that's a little bit of me? When is the last time you and your wife took a time out, went away to a business conference to identify your next 5, 10, 15 moves? If you've never done that, we host a conference once a year called the Wall Conference from September 8th to the 11th. If you just watched this, you laughed a little bit, you giggled, but you said, that's kind of me. Get registered. I look forward to seeing you and your spouse September 8th through the 11th at the Gaylord Orlando.
All right.
Well done, team.
Yes. Guys, go to thevolconference.com. Go to thevolconference.com. Get registered. Get yourself a ticket. If there's one thing I can tell you since 21 years old, I've gone to 4 to 10 business conferences every year purely to recreate myself. Again, go to thevolconference.com. Get yourself and your spouse a ticket. Let's spend 4 days to get in Orlando, September 8th through the 11th. Cannot wait to see you there.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.